My name is Steve Mincy. I'm with DES Architects and Engineers, and I'm the current chair of SAMCEDA, which is the San Mateo County Economic Development Association. So on behalf of our board, our president and CEO, Roseanne Faust, welcome to Innovators, our 2014 Awards of Excellence event. So we're so pleased you could join us here today. This event is all about honoring those companies that are around us that display entrepreneurship and innovation. And so often it's an introduction to companies that you kind of go, well, I know them, but I had no idea they were right here in our community. And so it's really a lot of fun from that standpoint. So we've got a distinguished group of award recipients to introduce you to today, including our outstanding individual, Bob Webster, who is this year's recipient of the David D. Bohannon Memorial Award. So that'll be great. And we also have a wonderful keynote address that I'm looking forward to hearing from. It's Alexandra Watkins is here with us today. So that'll be great. Now, as you all know, these types of events take a lot of time and energy and dollars to put on. And so I really want to take a few moments here and thank our sponsors and their generosity of the companies and organizations that have helped us put this on. So let's start with recognizing SAMCEDA's Platinum Chairman's Circle members. Now, these are companies who consistently support SAMCEDA all year long and in so many different ways, variety of ways. And they also support us and sponsor this event, this Awards of Excellence event. So let's just kind of give them a round of applause if we could. And I would be remiss if I didn't run through them for you. So here we are. We have BKF Engineers, Bank of America, Bay Meadows Land Company, Bohannon Development, Hillsdale Shopping Center, the County of San Mateo, Genentech, Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford, Oracle, PG&E, San Francisco International Airport, Samtrans Caltrain, Sequoia Hospital, a Dignity Health member, and Wells Fargo. So thank you to our Platinum Chairman's Circle members. Now, in addition to those great companies that provide that support all year long, we have some wonderful companies that have stepped up for today's event and are also corporate sponsors for today's event. And those are Allied Waste Systems, Brisbane Baylands, Universal Paragon Corporation, okay, Cargill, Carr McClellan, Ingersoll Thompson and Horn, Comcast, Hanson Bridget, Hartnett Smith and Pateco, Kaiser Permanente, Mills Peninsula Health Services, a Sutter Health affiliate, Recology, San Mateo County, San Mateo Credit Union, Seton Medical Center, Seton Coastside, Spare the Air Employer Program, and Summer Hill Housing Group. Thank you. Now, we also have a media sponsor today, a great partner that has been with SAMCEDA through a number of events and helps promote our events, and that's the San Francisco Business Times. So thank you to them. I think they're probably also the ones that created the slides for today's event. That's right there. But also, this event is being filmed by Penn TV and can be seen on Channel 26. So you can recap anything that you saw today and tune in and see it all again. So another set of thank yous needs to go out to our board of directors. You know, I've been chair for a number of years now, and I've had the pleasure of working with an extremely dedicated group of directors. And here on this first slide, you can see the executive committee and officers, Papia Gamblin, Bob Webster, Paul Casillas, Joanne Chemist, John Adams, and Todd Adair. Thank you all for that. So You know, I should point out that, Bob Webster, contrary to rumors, he was not in charge of the award's recipients this year. I think a number of you probably serve on boards, and you're tasked with, looking for individuals who really go above and beyond. And sometimes you're sitting there and you're working on this, and you realize it's the person sitting next to you that really is stellar in what they do. And in this case, I'm just so thrilled that we could honor Bob Webster and one of our own this year as that outstanding individual. And I know we'll hear a lot about that later. But it's really wonderful to see that this year. So I also then want to point out that we have a number of executives here that are also on our board. And rather than read all the names, how about if all of our board members, including the officers and executive committee, please stand and let's recognize the directors of SAMCEDA. So one of the hallmarks of this region, San Mateo County and the area, the peninsula, is that we have this great partnership with our elected officials. There's this synergy between business and government of identifying issues and trying to get in there and get them solved. And so in that spirit, I'd like to recognize all of the elected officials that we have with us today. So I'll start with Mark Adiego with the City of South San Francisco. Mark. Ian Bain, City of Redwood City. Ray Benaventura, City of Daly City. Mayor Dave Burrow, Town of Woodside. Mayor David Kniepa, City of Daly City. Catherine Carlton, City of Menlo Park. Our own Roseanne Faust is Vice Mayor of Redwood City. And also Vice Mayor Maureen Frechette of City of San Mateo. Carol Groom, San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. Jim Hartnett with the California High-Speed Rail Authority. Kirsten Keith, City of Menlo Park. Tom Moore, trustee with the San Mateo County Community College District. Mayor Ray Mueller, City of Menlo Park. Irene O'Connell, City of Brisbane. Mayor Mark Olbert, City of San Carlos. Peter Otaki, City of Menlo Park. Dave Pine, our president of the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. And Charles Stone with City of Belmont. Did I miss anyone? Welcome. So we also have, for our award recipients, we have some wonderful proclamations and certificates that have been put together, and it takes some effort to do that. So we extend a sincere thank you to Senator Dianne Feinstein, Congresswomen Anna Eshoo and Jackie Spear, State Senator Jerry Hill, Assembly Member Kevin Mullen, the County Board of Supervisors, President Dave Pine and his colleagues put them together, and also the cities of San Bruno, San Carlos, Foster City, Redwood City, and San Mateo. And those are all right down here along with the awards. And so really makes it special and nice to be recognized by so many of our elected officials in that way. So thank you all for that. Okay, we're getting closer to the program here. So I think what you really start to get a sense of, though, as I've gone through all these names, all these corporations and elected officials, is the diversity and the wide range of folks that we have here in the audience today. And that's so important because as we look at the problems and challenges facing our businesses in terms of growth and prosperity, and how many people say we have problems because of growth and prosperity, but we do. There's everything from water to housing, to affordable housing, traffic, all of those issues. There's no single simple solutions. These things all require consensus building among diverse organizations and interests. And so let me just say how fortunate we are to have at SAMCEDA a president and CEO that gets it. Now, she's out there championing all these unique solutions that are needed by San Mateo County. But at the same time, she's out there building broader solutions to our regional issues. And so on that note, our champion of regional issues and consensus building, please welcome our President and CEO, Roseanne Faust.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome everyone. How are you today? I think we are so very fortunate to live, work, and play in the county like San Mateo. We have such a unique situation here, and today, the reason that SAMCEDA puts together the Awards of Excellence is to highlight those companies and individuals that really make a difference. And if you notice this year, our program is called Innovators, and innovators are not just technology companies. They're all types of companies. Many of you that sit in the room here today, in the companies and affiliations that you're all associated with, you're innovators. So we want to showcase what we have here, the type of companies, and SAMCEDA promotes the business community. We've been doing that since 1953. But we understand that the business community is just one piece of the greater ecosystem. But if you have a successful business community and you have those kind of companies and individuals that innovate, it all starts there. It all starts local. And I know many people have said that over the years about local. Let's buy local, let's shop local, let's innovate local. Well, we do it here. We are so fortunate because every day with the organizations that you work with, we innovate and we create jobs from technology to ports to jewelry, which you'll see featured here later. So this is our day to celebrate. It's our day to celebrate our county. It's to celebrate SAMCEDA and an organization that doesn't do it alone. We do it with our community college district, our chambers of commerce, our nonprofits. I want to thank all of my colleagues that are elected officials here today. We do it with your support, and we do it with our business community. So now it is my great pleasure. I am so excited about our keynote speaker today, and you can ask any of our team at SAMCEDA. When I first read about Alexandra Watkins in the San Francisco Business Times, I said, wow, very interesting. She has a book coming out later in 2014 called Eat My Words. Sounds interesting, Eat My Words. So what does it mean? So I did a little bit of research, and I was looking who she was affiliated with and kind of called around, and somebody said, well, why don't you just give her a call? And usually in these type situations, you like an introduction. Cold calls, I think, make everyone nervous. Well, I called. Alexandra answered, and probably for the next 30 minutes, I did not stop laughing. She was telling me stories about sort of where she had been, where she was going, and I'm like, Alexandra, would you consider being the keynote at our Innovators program? Because I think you fit with what we're trying to showcase. So we talked a little bit more, she thought about it, and she said, yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. I mean, she's taught at Stanford. She's taught at USF. She's been branding some of our iconic companies that are out there. And she said, well, I'd like to come and talk about how my career has really been innovation and from the start. And not just focus on naming, which is the whole premise behind Eat My Words, but really focus on innovation and highlight and celebrate the winners that we have here today, our award recipients. So it is with great pleasure that I'm going to bring up Alexandra Watkins, the Chief Innovation Officer for the company Eat My Words. And hang on, folks, because this is going to be a ride.
Thank you. What is? Sorry. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that very nice introduction, Roseanne. How many of you have ever broken the rules? Okay, now I'm not talking about breaking the rules in a way where you needed reputation.com to bury the evidence. I'm talking about breaking the rules to solve a problem. That's the thrill of innovation. When faced with a challenge, try a creative approach to solve your problem. That's how innovation happens. It's really the story of my life. And it has been quite a ride, as Roseanne mentioned. I like to think of it as Mr. Toad's wild ride on the Innovation Express. Does that sound like fun? Great. I can't see the screen in front of me. I just want to let Fred know. Please put my slides up. Or George, thank you. Okay, thanks. Sorry, you guys. Okay. So I want to let you know, and I'm going to say this a couple times because you're not going to believe me. All of these stories are true. Okay? None of the names have been changed to protect the innocent or the guilty. I am keeping it real, people. It all started in the early 80s in San Diego at Mission Bay High. My high school was right out of a movie. Oops. Now, as a senior at Mission Bay High, I had it going on. I had an awesome set of wheels. And I was excelling in 3 areas: creative writing, interior design. This was the interior of my locker. How many of you were in high school around that time too? A couple of you? Okay, I know some people won't admit it, right? And I was also quite interested in horticulture. To be honest, school kind of bored me, but there was one class that I loved and I never ditched. It was called You and the Law. I learned about contracts, torts, my Miranda rights, and misdemeanors like smoking pot on school property. For our final report, the class had an entire month to write a paper on the criminal justice system. My classmates went to the library to copy out of a book. Not me. I turned to the pages of our local diatribe, the San Diego Reader, to the personal ads. Incarcerated white male, 35, seeks female companionship. I see somebody's mouth jaw-dropping back there. Yes, it's true. So incarcerated was a word that I just learned. My mother, of course, made me look it up in the dictionary when I asked what it meant. Now, despite knowing what the definition was, my mother encouraged me to write to prisoners. She even let me use her computer. I wrote letters to 6 inmates. I couldn't say I was in high school, right? I said I was in college, that I was writing a book on the criminal justice system. I wanted to know what they thought of it. How is life treating them on the inside? Now, I knew I would get a better response if I sent a photo, but no one wanted a photo of me. I was a dork. But my older sister, Victoria, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I sent photos of my sister to vicious killers. It's better than that. My sister was the school photographer. Her darkroom was a gold mine. Now, I didn't want to do anything mean like send photos of the prom queen, but I had no qualms about sending this photo of my sexy and unsuspecting best friend, Lydia. There she is, posing against my mom's 66 Jag. By the way, to give you guys an idea of how long ago this was, she was 17 there. Today is her 50th birthday. So we are really back in time. So at first, I had to find a way to get the letters because I didn't want these guys showing up at my parents' door when they got paroled. So my mom suggested that we use my father's post office box. Well, then my mom and I had to engage in a little criminal activity of our own, and we stole the key off my dad's keychain, and he never knew what we were up to. At first, the letters just trickled in, but after 2 weeks, every single guy wrote back. Some even sent photos. Oh, that's Raul. We lost touch. My final report consisted of 1 intro page, typewritten by me, and 23 handwritten pages of letters written by my new friends on the inside. My teacher said it was the most creative report he had ever seen in all of his years of teaching. I got an A+. And I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes it pays to break the rules. Ever since I was in high school, ever since I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be in advertising, like my TV hero, Darren, on Bewitched. But after I graduated from high school, I didn't want to sit in a classroom for 4 more years. I couldn't wait to get started in advertising right away. But it's not like I could just wiggle my nose and get a job. My mom suggested I take an advertising class at the local community college. My teacher hadn't set foot in an ad agency since Darren worked at McMahon and Tate. Meanwhile, at home in La Jolla, I was driving my mother insane. In my teenage eyes, she had turned into a total witch. Of course, that's not really her, and today we're BFFs. But at the time, I was driving both of my parents crazy, and they made me move out of the house. For the first time in my life, I had to earn a paycheck. My parents were actually really cool. They spoiled me. They wanted me to enjoy my childhood, and despite me wanting to work, they wouldn't let me work until I was 18. That was really nice of them. The problem was, my resume was anemic. I had to do something to make it stand out. So, under interest, I listed roller skating, horticulture, and penology. I know, it looks like a dirty word, right? That was my intention. Penology is the study of prisons and prisoners, and I was interested. That one word attracted the attention of a hiring manager at a major corporation where I landed my first job. Minimum wage was $3.35 an hour, but as a cashier at 7-Eleven, I learned more about consumer buying behavior and brand loyalty than I ever would have from a textbook. But I couldn't make cherry Slurpees forever. And besides, I hated when people from my high school would come in and recognize me. Working the graveyard shift at 7-Eleven, I had plenty of time to peruse the prisoner personals. One night I was flipping through the reader and an ad caught my eye. It was for a new school, the La Jolla Academy of Advertising Art, right in my own backyard. The ad said that all of the instructors currently worked in advertising, and it was only a 1-year program. I could handle that. I signed up the next week. 1 semester later, I had moved way beyond Darren Stevens. Advertising legend David Ogilvy was my new higher power, and this was my new Bible, the Book of Dave. Dave said that all wannabe copywriters, such as myself, should spend our first couple years in direct marketing, learning how to write long copy that sells. That sounded good to me, and after I graduated, I talked my way into an internship with my direct marketing instructor. I actually found a job a couple months later, my first big agency job in Seattle, my first time away from home. So I was 20 years old. I was a junior copywriter. I was going places. 3 months later, I was fired. Yep, after just 90 days, my boss, the creative director, who always wore a suit for some reason, Phil Herring, said that I wasn't senior enough. I wasn't good enough. Oh, obviously that's not him. This is. After Seattle, I moved to the roller skating capital of the world, Venice Beach. It was also a hotbed of horticulture. In LA, I became a flower child for 2 years. I loved working for Teleflora. Working at a big in-house agency, to me, was the happiest place on earth. It wasn't just that I got to work in advertising. I was tapped to be creative and give ideas to different departments. My favorite one was product development. One day during a brainstorming meeting for Secretary's Week, do you guys remember Secretary's Week? Okay, remember? God, politically incorrect now. I brought up the fact that secretaries are like lifesavers, right? They're always saving somebody's butt. So I said, we should partner with Lifesavers Candy and have a bouquet and name it the You're a Lifesaver Bouquet. Ta-da! That was my first name. After Teleflora, I worked at a really forgettable direct marketing agency. No, seriously, I forgot the name. I didn't have Evernote, obviously. But what I do remember is during that time, I was an active member of the Direct Marketing Creative Guild. I had really learned to love direct marketing, and I liked the people a lot. I volunteered at every event, and by doing so, I earned a lot of brownie points. And through some calculated networking and a little sucking up, I schmoozed my way into my dream job. Ta-da! I finally made it into Ogilvy. Ogilvy was great. One of the best things is we had huge clients like Microsoft, Intel, Mighty Dog. You have not lived until you've been on a photo shoot with a live animal. Our clients had a lot of money to spend too, which was also really fun. And they, pardon the pun, really let us push the envelope. Here's a direct mail piece that I did for Microsoft. It went to resellers. And what was cool about it, it's a little hard to tell, is you know those plastic wiggly eyes that you can stick on things? Well, I had been obsessed with those at the time. I was sticking them on everything. And I said, let's stick these on a direct mail piece, send it through the mail, and see if it comes back with the eyeballs still on it. And we tried it a couple times, and it did. So when we mailed this out, it had the eyeballs on it, and so when people got it, they could shake it, and the eyeballs would move. So that was a fun thing that we did. Another one was for Intel. This was a direct mail piece, again, no envelope. And the inside, and these are some of the headlines I wrote for it. But what was cool about this is I had the idea to put an actual X-ray inside of the piece. So direct mail can be fun. Now, every year, Ogilvy would enter our very best work into the Creative Guild's awards show. We always swept the awards. And every year at the annual dinner, I would always make sure to run into my old boss, Phil, You're Not Good Enough Herring, always when I was walking off the stage with one of these. It was the polite way of giving him the finger. At Ogilvy, everyone read Adweek magazine religiously. One day, I was flipping through the back pages, and I had a major high school flashback. Paper Moon Graphics, the greeting card company that I had worshipped since I was in high school and still worshipped till that day, was looking for writers to create new greeting card lines. Well, when I was in high school, Paper Moon's cards were really tame, but since that time, they had become really racy. I knew I was going to have to send them something really provocative. Luckily, I knew all about provocative. Ever since I had been in advertising school, I had been collecting vintage 1950s magazines. I'd go to the flea market and get them. One Sunday morning, another magazine caught my eye. That's when the light bulb went off. Armed with a pair of scissors and a glue stick, I cut out the sweet, innocent retro images from the magazines, and I juxtaposed them with scandalous text from Penthouse letters. The results were hysterical. I had created dozens of these, so I photocopied 40, put them in an envelope, dropped them in the mail, and sent them off to Paper Moon. And this is back in the days, there was no internet, there was, no phone calls, please. So all I could do was just hope and wait for the phone to ring. Worst response rate ever. Nobody called. I was heartbroken. Months went by. I had almost forgotten about Paper Moon when I came home late one night after work to a blinking light on my answering machine. Beep. Hello, Alexandra. This is Fred from Paper Moon Graphics, and I really like your work. It's super funny. You have a dirtier mind than I do. Give me a call. I couldn't believe it. They finally discovered me. It was late, but I couldn't wait to talk to them, so I called, thought maybe someone would answer. The phone rang and rang, but finally an older gentleman answered. And it was Fred. So we started talking, and he was telling me how much he loved my work, and we were laughing, but it was starting to get really late. And I said, Fred, do you always work this late? Yeah, I'm always here late. I'm the janitor. Fred had found my work in the trash. I was devastated. I almost started crying. I just couldn't believe it. It's like, the janitor, are you kidding? But Fred, he felt bad for me, and he said, look, I know the creative director, Robert Fitch, and why don't you just come in next week, some afternoon, and I'll introduce you to him. What did I have to lose? The following Thursday, I sat across the desk from Robert Fitch. I felt this high. As I sunk into my chair, Robert said, now, why are you here? Fred thought I should meet you. Fred? You do know who Fred is, don't you? Yes, he's the janitor. Robert howled. Fred owns the company. The joke was on me. Paper Moon loved my work, and after making it a little less X-rated, they launched the wildly successful retro greeting card line. There I am with my big hair and a wall of my cards. And I'm sure some of you remember these. Well, what happened is a lot of other greeting card companies started copying Paper Moon. So you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them? So I started freelancing for them too. Does this one look familiar? When Ogilvy offered me the opportunity to transfer to the Seattle office with a promotion, I grabbed my umbrella. By day, I wrote geek speak for Microsoft. By night, I wrote personal ads for myself and my girlfriends. We all wanted to meet a Microsoft millionaire. My artsy friend Kelly wanted to meet a guy who she said was less grunge and granola and more brains and business. Read Microsoft millionaire. How could I tactfully say that in a headline? I had it. Attention, Birkenstock boycotters. The ad generated a ton of letters. Kelly was just completely overwhelmed. I begged her to let me see all of them. So 3 weeks later, we met at a diner on Capitol Hill, and she dumped out her bag on the table, and out they all came, all of the letters and photos. And there he was. My old boss. Phil, you're not good enough, Herring. The opening line of his letter, Dear Ms. Boycotter, you got me after the headline. I didn't even have to read the rest of the ad. Wow. Even though Kelly was not attracted to Phil Herring at all, I made her go on a Starbucks date with him to break the news. Over lattes, Kelly listened politely while Phil bragged about all of his successes, and when he got to the part that he owned a successful ad agency called Herring Newman, right on cue, Kelly said, Herring Newman. I think I know someone who worked for you. Really, said Phil, puffing up. Who? Alexandra Watkins. Oh yeah, I remember her. That was a long time ago. Then Kelly delivered the death blow. She wrote my ad. Talk about you and the law, this was poetic justice. I did eventually date some of my own Microsoft guys. Most of them were cuter than this one. But the one guy at Microsoft that I really wanted to marry got engaged and married to someone else. After 5 awesome years at Ogilvy, a juicy job offer took me to San Francisco. It was 1995. I bought a place south of Market and got in touch with my inner interior decorator. I love working at agencies. It was really fun. I had a very colorful agency life as well. And in my free time, I went traveling all over the world. But with only 2 or 3 weeks off a year to travel, I knew that I would never see the whole world. So after a few years working at different agencies, I quit to become a freelance copywriter. This was my website. My timing was perfect. The .com gravy train was just taking off. I got huge projects to write websites for Kinko's, Logitech, Home Depot. The money was flowing. Remember those good old days? Here's some, it was a little obnoxious too, right? So here's a couple ads that I wrote that kind of play off the excess that we all had. These first 2 are for a bike company called Tytech. And the next one is for a real estate company in the East Bay called Red Oak Realty, and the ads were targeted at people in the East Bay Hills that they were trying to get them to sell their homes. Okay. Well, we all know what happened, right? The bubble burst, that .com gravy train crashed. There was no work. San Francisco was a ghost town. Luckily, I had saved some money, so I rented out my place and I went traveling for a year to Australia, Bali, Fiji, and New Zealand. I wish I had a GoPro camera at that time, right? That would have been cool. Well, there's nothing like a year off to help you get your priorities straight and figure out what's really important. I mean, besides throwing another shrimp on the Barbie. When I came back to San Francisco, I had a tan, and I had a plan. All of those years as a copywriter, every once in a while, I would get thrown a bone and get to name something. I loved it, and I thought I was really good at it too. Well, I didn't even find out that naming was actually a real profession until right before I left on my trip. When I came back, I was determined to be a professional namer. I heard that the place I should make a name for myself was legendary branding firm Landor & Associates. Surely they would hire me. It would have been easier to get into Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Oh, I had the talent. But what I found out, I didn't have the pedigree. No degree in Latin, no degree in linguistics. Remember, I didn't have a degree in anything. But I didn't let that stop me. For 2 years, I tried everything I could to get the attention of anybody at Landor. Again, pre-internet, I don't know anybody's name. I'm just kind of randomly guessing who's who. I send things to HR, and they were very secretive. I even sent photos of my dog and all of the names I came up with for her. Landor didn't bite. I finally did get into Landor, and you will never guess how, on a Match.com date. It was Saturday night. My third date was Samir. We were going to a cocktail party where I would be meeting his friends for the first time. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but walking into a room full of strangers, I'm actually really shy. I asked Samir to tell me who some of the people would be there so I would feel more comfortable. He told me about Susan from his office and Jim from his bike team, and then he mentioned his friend Anthony from Landor. What? You know someone who works at Landor? What does he do? I don't know, head of naming or something. Ding, ding, ding. I went to grab my cards, which I always kept by the door, and Samir looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" "I'm getting my cards. I want to meet your friend Anthony." "No, you're not." "Samir, what are you talking about? I really want to meet your friend. I've been trying to get into Landor for 2 years now." "Alexandra, every time my friends meet Anthony and they find out that he's a product namer at Landor, they talk his ear off and they tell him how good they are at naming things." "But I am good at naming things." At this point, things weren't going well. I grabbed some of my cards, I put them in my tiny little purse, and off we went. We weren't even talking by the time we got to the party. It was so crowded. There was no way Samir was going to tell me who Anthony was. I spent the first hour eavesdropping on every conversation until I finally heard a guy in a top hat introduce himself as Anthony. I moseyed on into the group, introduced myself. Anthony looked me straight in the eye, reached out his hand. "Alexandra, what do you do?" I totally lied. "I'm a professional product namer." "No, I'm a professional product namer." "You are?" "Why, yes, I'm the head of naming at Landor." "No, you're kidding me." "No, really, I am." "Well, I haven't heard of you. What have you named?" Well, on the way over in the car, I was remembering everything I had named over the years, so I reeled them all off. Then Anthony looked at me and said those magic words, "Do you have a card on you?" This entire time, Samir had been watching from the bar, so while I turned to pretend to see if I had a card on me, I looked at Samir with the biggest F-U on my face. I pulled out a card. "Oh, here, Anthony, I found one. It's my last one." 3 weeks later, Anthony's assistant called, and I got my first big Landor freelance project, coming up with names for Frito-Lay. I was hooked, and Landor was hooked on me. I became their go-to freelancer in San Francisco and New York. I started becoming the big freelance namer for a lot of different naming and branding firms. It was a great way to learn the business and see how other companies work and operate and what their creative briefs are. And what was fun is I got to work on huge accounts like Wendy's. Have you ever eaten a Baconator or wanted to eat a Baconator? That's my name. Unfortunately, I can never really take credit for it because I did it for strategic name development. I was just a hired gun. That's their name. And I totally got that. It's their client. But I couldn't keep doing this for other people, letting them put their good names on my great names. I had to have a plan. It was time for me to open my own naming firm. Eat My Words was founded in 2005. We specialize in 2 things, names and taglines. I also do corporate workshops where I teach people how to concept and brainstorm like I do. They're called Spilling the Beans because I spill it all. Everything we do is really playful, fun, and unexpected. We started out working with small fish, but now we work with really big fish. Here are some of our clients. Okay, everyone always asks, what's your creative process? Creative process is an oxymoron. There's no process to being creative. You never know where a good idea is going to come from. Also, naming isn't a science. I always laugh when I hear my competitors talk about their scientific processes, like verbal linguistics or verbal identity engineering and computational linguistics. Does any of that sound even remotely creative? There's only one tool in this photo, and it's not an easel. When you're sitting in a white conference room staring at a white board, that's not where colorful names come from. And they don't come from any of these places either. No drunken Scrabble games. We only use one tool at Eat My Words to brainstorm. Surprised? All of our ideas come from looking at places on the internet. It could be Google Images, iTunes, a thesaurus. The internet is an online goldmine. It also helps to have a colorful workspace. This you might recognize as the loft I bought in '95. I haven't lived there in 8 years. Now I just use it as an office. It's just a very fun playground. This is my desk. It's a 1950s diner booth. There I am from yesteryear. Our lounge upstairs, and the pink fridge is our bookcase, and our business card, if any of you see it, it's a little pink fridge inspired by this. Stuffed animal sofa, and this is our gnome nomenclature with a G. How many of you have a name that's hard for people to spell? Okay, what about hard for people to pronounce? And how many of you have a name that people sometimes forget? Well, that's why we wear name tags, right? Well, a lot of brands have the same problem, but they can't blame their parents. These are what I call head scratchers. My philosophy is a name should make you smile instead of scratch your head. I've created a 12-point name evaluation test based on this. It's called the Smile and Scratch Test. It's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Inc., and most recently the Business Times, where Roseanne found me. SMILE is an acronym for the 5 qualities that make a name great. It's suggestive, meaningful to your customers, not you, just to use. Imagery, legs lends itself to a theme, and makes an emotional connection. And on the flip side of that is scratch, when to scratch it off the list. If it has any of these challenges, these are all deal breakers. And I'll just quickly show you a few of our names that I love. Here's some consumer names I've done. You might recognize some of these from down here. Gringo Lingo is a language school in Cali, Colombia. Retriever, GPS for dogs. B2B, lots of companies down here. And these are my favorite ones, the retail stores. Some of you might know Smitten Ice Cream. They're just about to open their 3rd location on Saturday. So what's next? Well, as Roseanne mentioned, I have a book coming out. Last year, a publisher approached me and asked me to write a how-to book on naming because they love my writing style from my website. They thought I had a sense of humor, and it was, which is seriously lacking in most business books these days. So the publisher, they're called Barrett Kohler. I recognize some of their titles. They're a very good publisher. Hello, My Name is Awesome, How to Create Brand Names That Stick, comes out September 15th. It's already getting a lot of buzz. It's being endorsed by Dan and Chip Heath from Made to Stick. And the Today Show has expressed interest in doing a segment on it already. And on Monday, we sold the audio rights, which is awesome. So, what's my point here? What I'm just trying to tell you all is dare to be different. Breaking the rules has led to my most innovative ideas and biggest successes. From writing letters to prisoners, to deconstructing penthouse letters, to lying through my teeth to get into Landor, I have been fearless. Don't be afraid to break the rules to solve a problem. It's okay to color outside the lines. But remember, innovation only happens when you give yourself permission to bend, break, and ignore the rules. Consider this your permission slip, signed by me and my mom. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandra.
Sure.
Where would you ever find a speech that would mention prisoners, penthouse letters, names that, when Alexandra and I were talking about this keynote, she said, could you maybe give me a little heads up on who the award recipients will be? Because I don't really want to diss them in my presentation. So I said, okay, as soon as we know who they are, I will let you know. But let's give Alexandra another big round. The whole idea of dare to be different, dare to break the rules. Of course, and I know she means within the law. So dare to be different as long as you don't push that envelope too far, except we have quite a few attorneys in the audience today, so feel free to talk to them if you want to really push it. But we are now moving into the part of our presentation where we're going to honor the innovative companies here in San Mateo County. The ones that you've been reading about in the pamphlets, the programs on your table. And what we do at this point is we let each award winner showcase themselves. We could show you slides, we could talk about them. We've done that before, but it's much, much better to actually hear from the people at our award-winning companies. And our first one who is coming up is the Chief Operating Officer of Evernote. How many of you in the room use Evernote? This is Ken Gullickson. Ken? Okay, you have a great audience.
Okay, how do I click ahead here?
There we go. And it's great.
Great, well, thanks for having me. It looks like we have a lot of Evernote users in the audience today. So we have around 90 million users all over the world. About 25% of those are here in the US. The way that Evernote grows, the way that users find us is almost entirely from other users. So the roughly third of you in the room here who raised your hand, your job is to find the two people next to you and teach them how to use Evernote. That's how we grow. So what are we? Remember everything is our tagline. So we're kind of a second brain. Is there anybody in the audience who doesn't need a second brain? We help you remember everything that's important to you and make it accessible to you across every device, computer, tablet, etc. that you own. That's our fundamental mission. We're a very design-centric company. We're very product-focused, but very much design-centric. We win a lot of design awards. This happens to be my favorite one from Apple, mostly because it glows when you touch the top of it. It's kind of cool. Our applications run across any device that you own, so Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, etc. We have a version for everything. Anything that you capture on any device is available on any other one. We're all over the world. Our world headquarters is just across the road here in Redwood City. About 250 people there, another bit over 100 scattered in other locations all over, a total of 10 offices. We put our offices in places that we think are the most important centers of innovation in the world. Our job is to build the world's best product. It's the same product everywhere. It's in around 50 languages. It's not, other than language localization, is not customized in any of those geographies. But we want to be there because a lot of innovation comes from a lot of places in the world, and we want that all to inform the product that we ship everywhere. We also have a business version that we sell to companies, and since this is a business audience, The key message of that is you deserve a great experience at work. So not only should you be using Evernote yourself, but you should be bringing it into your companies. Tens of thousands of companies do this already. So there is a business version called Evernote Business. It's basically Evernote with some administrative features for the business to be able to use it. It looks just like the normal Evernote, but it has a directory of all of the users within your business and makes collaboration easier. So that's about it. Just wanted to be very quick. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has about the company, but otherwise I'll leave it to the next ones.
Gulick's in here? So all of you know how to use it perfectly.
All right, so we have 2/3 of the audience here that needs to learn how to use it from the other third.
Thank you very much. Evernote. Congratulations. Ken, what we have, for all of the award winners, to make it easy for you, we have all the certificates grouped together and your award. So it makes it very easy versus us trying to kind of dump all the paper on you. So I would like to invite up Christopher Sundemeyer, who's our Chief Privacy Officer for Reputation.com. How many have you heard of Reputation.com?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this award. I'm also the general counsel, so I'm generally the guy that the innovators come to and say, can we really innovate this way? If you were putting a picture up here, it would probably be the dinosaur that was shown in the previous slides. I'm the guy who tries to make sure that we can actually innovate in the ways we want to. But we have great minds and great talents at our company, led primarily by Michael Furtick, who founded the company, who is a real innovator. He founded the company back in 2006 when the internet was emerging and decided, listen, there are ways in which the internet portrays people unfairly, where the internet has a louder voice than what anyone has had before. There is a principle in this country called freedom of speech. It's held near and dear to all of us, but there's always been restraints on the notion of free speech in the effect of, for example, you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. So the internet in some ways has elevated speech to that level where people can create speech and it can have a damaging impact on people. So there's got to be some way in which people can manage the speech on the internet so that they can begin to control their own reputations. And that was the vision that Michael had early on, not to control speech, but to give people an alternative when the speech is too loud or when the speech is unfair or when people feel that they're not being portrayed fairly on the internet and can protect themselves from what is an incredible power of the internet. So Reputation.com was founded in 2006. We deal primarily in your online reputation, which ranges from people's interest in their privacy, meaning that they want to control the information or remove information from the internet. So we have a whole line of privacy products, all the way to enterprise products, which really focus on helping large enterprises manage their entire online reputation, from social media to online reviews to articles, etc. We have about over 1 million customers in 100 countries. 3,000 of those are enterprise customers. We have about 190 employees here in the United States. We have employees abroad as well. We have offices in the UK. Most of these employees are here in Redwood City, in San Mateo County, which I think is fabulous. I've been living here for a long time. We have backed by some of the top venture firms. So a lot of you have probably heard our ads on NPR and various radio advertisements. And most people tend to think of us as the company that helps you with a problem on the internet. So what we do really is a multiplicity of things. We have products which range from helping people control their privacy online, pulling information off. As we all know, our data is collected everywhere, and our data is sold everywhere, and our data is then reused everywhere. We have tools which help people retreat some of that information from the internet. We also then help people manage what people say about you on Facebook, Twitter, other social media. We help you control that as a business or as an individual. We help, and this is the product most people are familiar with, we help you control your first few pages of your Google results. So if people have problems, if there's something that's they believe is unfair or it accurately portrays them, we help them deal with those problems. If you don't have a reputation on the internet, these days you cannot not have a reputation on the internet. We help you create a reputation on the internet. This is how you can reach us. If we could ever be of service to any of you, please let us know. Anybody have any questions?
Oh, we have a question. It's the mayor of Woodside, Dave Burrow.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you have any cities or other public organizations use your service?
Well, a couple of things. One, most of our clients are very confidential because if someone does have an issue, they generally don't want to reveal who they're using for that. So we tend to keep our customers very confidential. But we do have large organizations. I don't know that we have any. We have some small municipalities that use our services, both for helping manage their social media, helping manage their online reviews and articles, et cetera. So there are different types of services we have, but we do have some small municipalities that use our services and also large enterprise organizations from a variety of verticals.
Do you have political candidates that use your service?
That's another question I won't answer.
We have another question.
How do you make decisions about what you can retrieve and are willing to retrieve and are definitely able to retrieve compared to what your clients might want them to retrieve?
That's a very good question, and there are a lot of tensions around that issue. So the question is, how do we make decisions about what we do retrieve or what we do help clients with? So there's a wide range of issues there. One is a lot of our clients are coming to us that are just, might be a large automotive company and they just want to manage their review presence. There are some people who come to us with problems. And so we do have to do a delicate balance. There is a right to free speech. There is something, people are entitled to know information about certain people. So we have a fairly well thought out, strict policy about sort of who we will help and when and who we won't help. We don't want to ever our services to be misused. We don't want someone who is engaged in some misconduct to in some way be able to use our services to perpetuate some sort of further misconduct. So we go through a careful process. We have an internal policy, and I'm happy to talk more about that. But we do evaluate every customer to make sure that they are somebody who we feel good about helping, and that we aren't used in any way to, do misdeeds or to conceal something which the public should be aware of. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who get savaged on the internet. There are a lot of people who, a restaurant or a business, an employee who leaves or one dissatisfied customer, again, this is like the notion of yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. You can do a lot of damage by making one loud comment. And someone who has appropriately dealt with a particular issue, whether it's a business issue or gets a bad review, that can have an enormous impact on their business. And so we try to help people with those sorts of situations. Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we are going to bring up, Dana Bloom, who is the Vice President of Marketing for Stella & Dot. How many of you are wearing Stella & Dot today? I seem to notice quite a few. You have a following. Dana, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and start with a video. So if we can go ahead and cue that up.
One company that has seen tremendous growth is Stella & Dot, a San Francisco-based jewelry company.
We found out a hot player in this market is doing very well.
Stella & Dot is part of a new generation.
Stella & Dot is a jewelry company that's shaking up the world. Even in our tough economy, the company continues to grow for those who want to make it their career.
Stella & Dot is a global billion-dollar brand in the making. Stella & Dot really has a very innovative business model that we call social selling. Yes, it's about the personal service that you can get at a trunk show, which is a pop-up shop in someone's living room, but it's also about e-commerce. and social media.
I love the forward-thinking direction that our company has, flexibility, and it's profitable. Love it.
I can be working while she's at preschool, but I can pick her up from preschool. I can take her to the park in the middle of the day. I love that.
I am going crazy over this stuff. I'm gonna wear all of these at the same time.
Stella and Dot Bardot spiral. Yep. It's like a slinky.
Where'd you get the necklace? Stella and Dot. I wear Stella and Dot on here all the time.
And it's a couple $100 to get started, $199. And that is less than our weekly trip to Costco for our family.
We're really set up like a fine jewelry company. We hand make each individual component, which allows us to add signature details and finishing touches that you really don't see in other boutique-style jewelry brands.
At Stella & Dot, our greatest privilege is that while doing what we love, we get to positively impact the lives of people around the world.
It seems like this company is kind of empowering women.
Absolutely. This is giving women the opportunity to be independent and have that freedom.
We're in the happiness business, and we're here because our mission is to give every woman the means to style her own life.
I really thank myself every day that I started with Stella & Dot.
What I love about Stella & Dot, and if we could go, let me grab my advancer. There we go. What I love most about Stella & Dot, and what really drove me to join Stella & Dot, is that we are a mission-based company. And our mission is to give every woman the means to style her own life by enabling flexible entrepreneurship for women. So I thought I'd start by telling you a little bit about how Stella & Dot got started. Our CEO and founder, Jessica Heron, who you saw on the video, previously started WeddingChannel.com. And during that experience, she had the opportunity to be a guest on Oprah. Now, as she tells me, when you're a guest on Oprah, you actually start getting a lot of letters and fan mail. And she kept getting letters from other would-be entrepreneurs. And they fundamentally always had two questions for her. And one of those questions was, I'd love to start a business, but I don't have any access to capital. What do you recommend I do? And the other question was, as a woman entrepreneur, I'd love your advice on how to balance being an entrepreneur and having a family. And what she realized was she didn't have an answer to either of those questions. She had started Stella & Dot at Stanford Business School during the dot-com boom. So access to capital was a simpler question for her. And she had done it before she got married. So she was working 90-plus hour weeks, and that worked with her lifestyle at the time. But she couldn't tell anybody who was at a different place when they started a company how they could do that successfully. And that's how she came up with the concept of Stella & Dot social selling. And it was really all about taking a very dusty, old-age concept of the home shopping party, dusting it off, adding to it the innovation of e-commerce, of social media, of mobile technology, and making it into a great opportunity for today's modern woman. And of course, the other part of making it a really great, wonderful company and thing to be a part of was great product. And so the company really came to life when Jessica connected with our Chief Creative Officer, Blythe Harris, who you also saw in that video. And Blythe has a very prestigious design background. She went to Parsons School of Design in Paris. She was on the leadership team with LVMH, De Beers, Banana Republic. And she had spotted that there was just a huge white space opportunity in the fashion accessories market at the accessible luxury price point. So there was a lot of really expensive fashion jewelry, $1,000 plus for a necklace, and there was a lot of very inexpensive. But there wasn't anything right in that sweet spot price point. So she assembled a design team of really the best in the industry, and she was able to get them to join because they were so excited to be part of a mission-based company, a company that was empowering women. And so she opened our design office in Manhattan, in Soho, you saw there as well, where all of our jewelry is custom designed and made in-house, and then actually handcrafted by the world's finest artisans. And that became Stella & Dot. And since then, the concept really took off, is that combination of this really amazing business opportunity that was very inspiring to women who were looking for a solution of how they could have their own business and at the same time balance other priorities in their lives with irresistible product. And so it's really been an exciting journey. We've now at over $200 million, well over $200 million in revenue. We've launched globally. We're now a global fashion brand in 6 countries. Most recently just launched Ireland just a few weeks ago. And we also last year very successfully expanded into handbags, which doubled our market size. We also are proud of the fact that we have our foundation, the Stella & Dot Foundation, has donated over $1.5 million in charity. But what we are most proud of is that our stylists have earned over $160 million in commissions. And it's the stories of what those commissions, what those earnings mean to our stylists that really drive us to continue growing so we can influence more lives. So I wish I had some of them here to introduce to you or that I could share all of their stories, but just to give you some ideas of the things that they do. One of our stylists brought her baby to one of our events and said, "This is my Stella & Dot baby because it's my little blue card where I earn commissions that paid for my fertility treatment to have this child." Another one of our stylists was able to put her son in a private school that's really helped him with his autism. One of our stylists told us how last Christmas was the first time ever in her marriage that her husband didn't have to work 2 jobs over the holidays because she could help out the family. Another one of our stylists bought her child a pony for Christmas. She's going to have a tough time beating that next year. So it's really inspiring, and so I want to thank you for this award, and really I'm thanking you on behalf of our stylists because they are the true innovators in our company and the true entrepreneurs.
Does anyone have any questions for Dana? You want to save them for later. We really congratulate you. Thank you. So I am going to invite Jim Newton, the chairman and founder of Tech Shop, who is another one of our innovators this year. Jim?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, my name is Jim Newton. I'm the founder and chairman of Tech Shop. This is always really dangerous, but how many people know about Tech Shop? Oh, okay, that's pretty good. I'm glad to see that. Sometimes when there's no hands, that's like a little embarrassing. I started Tech Shop back in 2006, right here in San Mateo County. In fact, David Bohannon was actually very supportive in helping us get started because we needed a building and we had this brand new concept that we didn't know if it would work. We didn't know if anyone wanted our services or not. And it turned out to work out pretty well. Let me tell you a little bit about what Tech Shop is. It's kind of like, you can think of it like a health club, but instead of exercise equipment, it has tools and machines. So you join as a member and you come in and you use all of our equipment to make things. We have a huge variety of equipment. We have laser cutters, milling machines, lathes, welders, sheet metal equipment, woodworking equipment, plastics, yes, 3D printers, 3D scanners, computers, Autodesk and Adobe design software. What else? Sewing equipment, automotive equipment, just about anything you need to take that idea, because you all have ideas in your heads of things you want to make. You take that idea and you come in and you actually make it into a real thing. So our progress has been pretty neat, I think. We started, as I said, in Menlo Park. We struggled to get the word out. I'm really happy that so many people know about us now, and this kind of happens all over the country now. I get just about the same response, but it took us a while. And then a couple of years after we opened our second location in San Francisco, right downtown. Then we opened San Jose. Then we opened Detroit, Michigan, with Ford Motor Company. Then we opened Austin, Texas with Lowe's, the home improvement chain. That one's really cool. You go into the Lowe's. You know, when you go into a Lowe's, you walk in and there's the garden center down at one end. This one, you walk in, there's the garden center down there, and there's the Tech Shop doors down there with the branding. You walk right into the Tech Shop. It's really cool. We recently opened one in Pittsburgh with DARPA, the defense branch of the military, the development branch. We just opened one in Chandler, Arizona with Arizona State University in the innovation campus there that we're very excited about. That's our first university partnership. And we were supposed to open, I was supposed to leave tomorrow, but it's going to be delayed a week. We're opening one in Washington, D.C. In the next few weeks. We had an HVAC unit not show up. We didn't get our inspection as a result, so we couldn't let people in the building. I know you business owners know how that is sometimes. We're really excited about expanding. We're planning to open four more locations this year. One in Dublin, Ireland, which will be our first international location. We're opening one in Los Angeles, right downtown. And we're opening one in Munich, Germany, with BMW as our partner. So I really would encourage you to come by, take a look at the facility. We were at Scott's building in Menlo Park. He's progressing on his project, so we had to move. So we're over here in San Carlos, right at Holly and 101, and we're planning with John. Where's John? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. To open our first large-scale innovation center right there, which will actually serve the entire Bay Area. So thank you very much for the award, and hope you guys can come by and make something. Does anyone have any
questions for Jim?
Oh yeah. It's $125 a month. It's just like a health club, right? Just exactly like that. So you join as a member. It's $125. That's like if you just walk in and buy a month. You can get much lower prices if you buy longer terms. We don't do any of that predatory stuff like, startup fees or minimum term. We don't play those games at all. So you just come in, buy your membership, and then you can come in, you can use all the equipment as much as you want. We also have dream consultants on staff. That's, normally you would call those the shop stewards, but these people are actually dual purpose, actually multi-purpose. They take care of the shop, take care of all the equipment, make sure everything's maintained properly, but they're also there to help you and listen to your idea and give you ideas of pathways that you might want to take to get that project done, whether it's which machine, which resources, which materials, which software, and so on. Yes? Our demographics is really challenging, right? I know there's a lot of marketing people in the room. You like to go for that core thing. Well, we don't really have a core demographic because it's so flat. We have about 25% female members, and the age is very, very flat across all age groups. Income levels are flat. Education levels are flat. Everything's very, very flat, so it makes it hard. But generally, I don't know. It's just so varied. It's really, you'll see a young kid come in, a young hipster kid with tattoos all over him, sitting next to an 85-year-old grandfather, and they start talking about their projects and collaborate. It's pretty neat.
There's a question.
Say again, please. What's the coolest thing I've ever seen anyone make in our shop? That is like asking me which of my 3 kids is my favorite kid. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that have come out of Tech Shop that are pretty amazing. Square, the payment system, that was developed at Tech Shop. In fact, right in the Menlo Park building. The world's fastest electric motorcycle was made there. A current record holder. The Dodo case for the iPad. I don't know, does anyone have a Dodo case? Yeah, usually have a couple of people that have those. The world's most efficient data cooling system was made there. And a baby blanket called Embrace that you probably have seen in the press. That was developed at Tech Shop. It's a little baby sleeping bag that's designed to increase the amount of time that you can keep a baby's temperature regulated, aimed at the third world, so that you can get the baby to a city, to an incubator. And that device alone, that device is expected to save 100,000 babies' lives in the next 5 years. It's being distributed by General Electric in a lot of countries. So with stuff like that, I mean, it's hard for me to pick a favorite one. So, yeah, I can't answer that one. Yes?
Which child is your favorite?
I always tell my kids that, I always say, I love all you guys except one of you. All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim. So folks, I want to let you know two things. One, right before our event started today, we received a message from Foster City-based Skyclone, and Andrew Wong, their VP of Business Development, is back and forth between the US and China quite frequently, so he was not able to attend. So he actually extends his appreciation. We'll be going to visit him and giving him his award. And then SAMCEDA has had a very unique run in doing this Innovators program. And why I say that is people ask, well, how do you decide who are the innovators? From the moment this event ends, we start to collect data over the course of the next year from as many different sources as possible. Everything from all the online, the Wired, the Digital Mag, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, Fortune, Forbes, Inc., you name it. We look for innovative companies, and obviously the ones that are in San Mateo County. We work with the San Francisco Business Times, we work with the Silicon Valley San Jose Business Journal, and we come up with a pool of probably anywhere between 50 and 100 companies. We then do extensive research into them internally, and we cull it down. This year, we had 15 nominees that went off to our board of directors and other key individuals in the community with very detailed data on each of the company. And that's where we ended up with our 6 innovators. So the innovator that was not able to be here today is GoPro. And just let me read you why GoPro was not able to be here. The privately held company keeps its financials confidential. And because of the pre-IPO quiet period mandated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, its executives felt it might not be in their best interests to be here. We have had a significant number of IPO'd companies out of this innovator event. Achaogen, which is a biotech company, Codexis, a biotech company, last year's winner, Rocket Fuel. Those are just to name a few. So our track record in terms of really picking innovative companies and ones that are unique, I mean, this year you saw a very different mix because it's not all tech. That is the beauty of San Mateo County. So what I would like to ask all of you is come up afterwards and thank our innovative winners, and let's give them a big round of applause again. So moving on, this is one of, I think this whole program is actually a favorite of mine. It has been for a long time, even prior to my joining SAMCEDA. But this is where SAMCEDA's past and present come together. This is where we honor someone in the community who marries the best of business and the best of philanthropy and giving back and community. And I am going to just tell you a little bit about the David D. Bohannon Award, and then I'd like to invite Scott Bohannon up, who will present the award this year. The David D. Bohannon Memorial Award is dedicated to the memory of David D. Bohannon, founder and past president of SAMCEDA. Each recipient has demonstrated significant leadership and success in building the local economy and contributing to the quality of life in San Mateo County through community and philanthropy. So I would like you to welcome Scott Bohannon. Thank you.
Thanks. Good afternoon. It is truly an honor to give this award to Bob Webster. After all, it was my granddad actually who the award is named after, who hired Bob to work for him in the first place in 1983. He also hired me, my granddad hired me within a week or two of Bob. And I'm not sure, but may have figured he needed somebody pretty solid to make sure I would not mess things up. Make no mistake, over the last 30 plus years, I have not made it easy on him. Actually, Bob was hired against the executive recruiter's advice at the time, who thought Bob was too young and inexperienced. At the grand old age of 29, and notwithstanding his Berkeley MBA and Bolt Hall degree, in the top 10% of his class, by the way, and 4 years at the San Francisco law firm Pillsbury, Madison, and Sutro, I am told it was his interview that sealed the deal. As the interview was winding down, Granddad finally asked Bob, "Do you like to hunt?" And, Bob had picked up on the design motif of my granddad's office. There were safari pictures and waterfowl prints and hand-carved decoys, and there was just one problem. I mean, Bob knew the right answer, but there was just one problem. He had never had the opportunity to hunt in his life. And yet, unlike some attorneys, Bob is as honest as the day is long. So he looked Granddad in the eye and answered, "Why, yes, I do." Of course, being the shrewd attorney he is, he reasoned, "By God, I sure as heck know I don't dislike hunting. How could I?" As it turns out, lo and behold, Bob actually discovered he does like to hunt, at least ducks and upland birds, which was kind of a rite of passage back then to get to know my granddad. We've spent some good times out of the office together over the years doing that. It helps that he likes to eat them too. It is in the business and community of San Mateo County, though, that Bob has really distinguished himself. My Aunt Frances Nelson, God rest her soul, appointed Bob president and CEO of Bohanna Development Company in 2000, where he now presides over all of our family assets and business and community interests. And he does it so well. He's also given of himself in so many other ways, including serving on the Urban Land Institute Foundation Board of Governors. He's past president of San Mateo Chamber of Commerce. He's past chairman of SAMCEDA and continues on its board of directors, just to name a few of the things. His efforts on behalf of local charities also include serving on the advisory board of the Peninsula Family Services, and with major gifts to many other charities. Working with Bob over the years has been a distinct pleasure, and I look forward to it every day. Bob Webster joins an impressive list of David D. Bohannon Award of Excellence recipients, and nobody could deserve it more. Bob?
Good afternoon. Scott, thank you so much for that very generous introduction. As Scott said, we've worked together for a long time, and listening to Scott talk, there was a couple of things that are immediately apparent to me. One is that at Bohannon, we work hard, but we always have fun at what we're doing. And the second thing is that I am very much getting older, because 30 years has gone by pretty fast. I want to thank most earnestly the SAMCEDA Board of Directors for this honor. It is of singular importance to me because of the namesake that we honor and because of my 30 years with his companies. And like Steve said, I didn't actually have anything to do with the selection of this award, but I'm not sure that it wasn't to be sure that I pay my dues on time. I also want to thank my wife, Kim, who is here with me today, for all of her support over the years and for her understanding of the early morning meetings and late night meetings and social functions that we attend that are all go with the territory. Unlike most of the recipients of this award, it was my privilege to know David Bohannon. He was 85 years old when I came to work at his company, but he was still deeply engaged and interested in the business. He was very much an innovator himself, whether building production housing during World War II, developing one of the first suburban shopping centers anchored by a department store in 1954, or founding this organization in 1953. I can tell you that he would be delighted and impressed with the innovation and entrepreneurship represented in today's honorees, all from San Mateo County. Mr. Bohannon also believed early on that his success derived in no small part from the support of the communities in which he operated. He believed it important to give back to those communities through active participation in community organizations and philanthropy. He imbued his company with that culture of giving, a culture which was carried on by his daughter Frances Nelson and is now ably perpetuated by his grandsons David and Scott. I am proud to be part of this culture and tradition and to have been encouraged to make my own contributions to its continued vitality. We are all so very fortunate to live and work in such a vibrant community. It is incumbent on all of us to do our part to ensure that that vibrancy continues. I encourage all of our honorees, as they grow their companies and become successful, to remember the communities in which they have thrived and to become engaged in those communities to the betterment of us all. I thank you again for what, for me, is this most humbling honor. Thank you.
Alexandra is available for questions.
Wow, what a great program. And Bob, we're just so thankful that you share your talents with SAMCEDA. So how about one more round of applause for Bob Webster and all of our awardees today. And also for the out-of-the-box thinking and the challenge to break the rules that Alexandra gave us. So thank you. And Alexandra will be available afterwards for questions and whatnot. So please feel free to see her after we wrap up. And so in wrapping up here, there's a couple of upcoming events I want to make you aware of. We have our SAMCEDA annual meeting coming up in a few months at June 12th. It's at the Crown Plaza in Foster City. Now, as you know, our annual meeting generally focuses on economics and economic issues and brings to light some of the issues and challenges that we have here on the peninsula. And this will be the debut of the first research project that SAMCEDA has undertaken with the Silicon Valley Institute of Regional Studies. And this research is going to focus on workforce and economic development and the responsibilities of both the public and the private sector in ensuring that we'll all be able to meet the needs of our very industries here in San Mateo County. So it's real, tangible information that folks are going to be able to use. And so we look forward to the results and being able to share that with you. And then also, as you know, SAMCEDA always hosts a golf tournament every year, and this is no exception. It's a fun day, it's a great networking event, and this year, for the first time, SAMCEDA is joining with the Redwood City Chamber of Commerce for a joint golf tournament, and that's on Monday, September 29th at Peninsula Golf and Country Club. Now, it is, because we have two organizations there, I noticed that it's named Birdies for Business. But in my mind, it ought to be like double bogeys for business, because this isn't about less, this is about a lot more. All the more opportunities for networking and fun and a great day. So we really look forward to that partnership. So lastly, I wanted to extend a thanks to Randy Smith. Randy, are you still here at Oracle for the great use of this facility? We appreciate that. And how about a round of applause for Roseanne and Amanda and Diana of SAMCEDA putting on this event. That's it, unless Roseanne, you have anything else? No? Well, okay. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and have a great rest of the day.